Welcome. Tonight we have a guest with a story so strange, so unbelievable, that you may forget who you are, what dimension you're in, or even what your favorite food is. Tonight we have Frank Humain with us. Welcome, Frank.
Well, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, great.
Glad to be here.
Yeah, I appreciate you coming here. So what kind of started your journey was an incident that happened in 2007 where you were using a voice recognition program with your mother. Please kind of tell me about what happened.
Well, what happened was I was demonstrating my voice recognition capability, or this Microsoft Word, where, I had my headset on, my mic on, and I says, "Hi, Mom, how are you doing?" And the third time I said it, I had adjusted my voice, and all the letters came out correctly. And so I took my eyes off the monitor, and when I looked back, no, my mother says, "You didn't say that." And I looked back, and it said in capital letters, "Marines and Army No Fly Zone." And this was because I had a half-bill website that deals with my brother looking like the Shroud of Turin, and I have an extensive knowledge about the second coming of Jesus Christ. And so that's how it started.
So you believe that because you had, a brother who has these certain qualities and your knowledge, that the military were trying to contact you, or you kind of intercepted a communication. Is that what happened?
No, they were trying to get a hold of me. They wanted to make contact with me and to let me know. I mean, it wasn't like, "Hey, how you doing, Frank? We'll see you later." It was, "We're not leaving." And so I began to talk to them and tell them about Jesus Christ being born again, and Jesus Christ said a man must be born again. And so I went through all the verses, and I created a couple websites. They spotted one of my websites. I think they were told about it by Dell, by one of the technicians, because he just kept saying, "Wow," when he came across my website. And but it's a true story, and it goes on even to this day. And so the military knows who Jesus Christ is, and they know that the Holy Trinity is in the United States. And but that's pretty much the basics of how it started.
So were there other instances of where the military contacted you in addition to that first instance? Was there like a dialogue, and then what, in addition to your knowledge about Jesus Christ, did you kind of exchange with them?
Well, I would do it from my apartment, okay, because they're listening in. I've had also stalkers who are listening too. And anyways, I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but it involves a concert that they showed up. They go to these concerts that I go to, and they protect me. And I'll hear them calling my name out while I'm going down the hallway. And I guess we kind of said we'll save the Rolling Stones concert and a couple other concerts for the end of this conversation. But they protected me uptown. I mean, I was up there listening to my music, and I wasn't going to stop because somebody showed up outside my house with a bag on their head and two black stitching around the eyes, and they were looking at me with a cell phone up to their ear. This is a shortened version of what took place, and so the military protected me uptown. Didn't have the police come and pull me over for loud music. I mean, I would go down the street, and literally when the cops would go by me, they would turn their head like this and just drive on by, And so the military and intelligence are uptown. They're up there working on security, and they have all kinds of they have invisible technology that they use, and they have all kinds of technology they're working on. And I had the Secret Service on a specific day where I was going down, and he gave me a big nod. He gave me what I call a heaven and earth nod. And so they would contact me, and they would communicate with me through nods. And plus they were up there. I mean, whether you realize it or not, you got the intelligence, you got the military uptown, working on security, but I don't want to keep going on that, you know.
Right. So lately we've had a lot of state relations with the Chinese, and in your book you talk about their role. Could you kind of talk about the role of the Chinese and kind of what is going on?
Well, what happened was I prayed that the Chinese government and military protect me with their life. And the next day when I went uptown, I seen this Jaguar that a Chinese gentleman owns. And I don't remember if there was one or two people, Chinese, standing by that vehicle. But, and then I went down Thompson, there was a Chinese woman just standing out there looking at me, middle-aged woman. And so they had showed me part of their hidden culture in that I was up on Williams and State, and you know these ragtag people were coming up there to the corner, and then they folded away and it left this Chinese woman there, and she had like this real thin silk like fins that went on her shoulder. And so she was talking with me, you know, and I noticed when I turned the corner that she had a device in between her hands that was about this long, and it was a rectangular device. So the Chinese have helped me a great deal through all this, and they would. I had a case where a Chinese woman, a middle-aged, showed up on 4th and Liberty, and I would usually have to stop there. And I stopped, and she went into somewhat of a circle, and she put her and faced somewhat towards my vehicle, and says, "This is good. This is good." And so they helped me a great deal. The Chinese did, because they want the truth, and this is what the United States military needs. Okay, what you have going on out there right now is not the truth. What they're looking for is Jesus Christ, okay? And they want the truth, and I was able to bring it to them. They go in on my computer and stuff, and they listen in on my apartment. And so I'm aware of this, so I communicate with them if there's anything that, not just the Chinese, but Americans and whoever is listening, you know. And it's a very serious topic, and it's very extremely important to the United States and of course to China and other countries, and because if Jesus Christ is here, they want to know about it, and my brother is a twin to the Shroud of Turin, same height, same. You could line up 14 points on the Shroud of Turin with my brother's face, and so they've been with me all these years since 2007. I don't want to carry on too much of this, so you can get on to some other questions.
Now, in connection to this, you've talked about in your book another unbelievable story from Frank, which is a very interesting book and I enjoyed reading immensely. And if anyone is interested, definitely have a look at that. In your book, you also talk about devices. You said that strangers have shot lasers in your eye, shot at your head, sprayed you with devices. Could you talk about what is going on with all this?
Well, it's warfare. Is what it is. What they want to do is get you to join them, okay? And they want you committed to them. Some of these cult members and these witches, okay? But I've had, getting back to the devices pointing at me, I was going down Ashley after dark, and I turned up Washington. I had seen this sort of thing before, but there was some gentlemen holding devices pointed at me. So I thought, well, I'm going to stop, you know. So I stopped and I asked this gentleman, I said, "What are you pointing at me?" And he goes, "Oh, just one of these." And then he proceeded to shoot a laser in my eye, okay? And they're doing this to everybody, trying to get them to turn over to them, give up on Jesus Christ, give up on God, and you can watch the writing on the wall, you know. And it really, if you're not seeing the writing on the wall, then you're in a pretty decent position as far as that's concerned. Because if you are, you could be in some serious trouble. Because King Belshazzar, this is in the book of Daniel, he was having a party, drinking, and him and his lords, wives, and concubines were drinking wine from the vessels from the Lord's house, from the temple. And fingers of a hand appeared and started writing on the wall. And a long story short, they called on Daniel, and Daniel said, he says, you did not humble yourself before the Lord. But he had been murdered that night because Daniel told him what the answer was to his questions, what was written on the wall. Mm-hmm. But he ended up being murdered that night.
So what is written on the wall here? What is, they're using these devices to change people's minds? Is that what's going on? Are they trying to manipulate people or read their minds?
Go ahead.
Are they trying to read people's minds with the devices?
They do have devices that will read your mind. They'll download your entire memory, okay, and then they'll go off and watch it, okay? Now, go ahead.
So what do they do with this? They change people's minds, they convert people, they read minds. To what end?
It's the biggest waste of time you're ever going to find out. It is just a waste of time what they're trying to do. They're never going to beat God. They'll never do it. What they're doing is they're gathering people together for warfare against God. This is what they're doing. And they have these devices that they use, and I'm not talking about the military intelligence. I'm talking about witches and cults, okay? And they're using these devices on you, and I believe it goes in your nervous system and in your brain waves and puts this sort of thoughts in your head, and you end up giving up on these people, okay? And it really is. It's something, I look at it not as fun with the witches. I look at it as pure terrorism.
Mm-hmm. And have you had experience with the witches? Have you encountered something like that?
Yeah, I mean, they know who I am, and I would travel through town. I don't go up there anymore. But I've had a lot of experiences with witches. And mainly what they want to do is just, like, an example, they have this device that they'll can I have a drink of water?
Yeah, sure, go ahead, yeah.
They have this device, and they'll scratch the pad like this, okay? And the witch will have a grin like this. And the more you get upset, the more she goes, and so they're doing things to Ann Arbor residents, okay, with these devices. And they think this is all special, this is all the new way. No, it's not. It's nothing new, I mean, there's been warfare mechanizations in the Old Testament, okay? I'm not talking about digital, but the warfare mechanizations is what is listed under wicked devices, under devices. Mm-hmm. And you look it up. Anyways, go ahead.
Yeah, in addition to, other than like using devices to have any kind of like rapid transfer of knowledge, are there other ways instead of using a device or implant to do that?
Yeah, what they do, I'm not gonna, they mess with your head on what they're doing. But what I work on is rapid transmission of thoughts to another person. Mm-hmm. I can put an entire thought to a picture, anything, in somebody else's head, okay? And I've had it where I went through Myers. Now they stopped me, because I was helping. I'm here to help the United States, okay? And I won't get into all details about that because we have a limited amount of time. But I was going into Myers, and I had this gentleman do a thrust in between two meat racks. And then
what do you mean by that?
A thrust like this.
Okay.
In between two meat racks. Nothing there, but in between the meat racks. Mm-hmm. And then I had him reach for the product fast and then pull it back slow.
You made him do that?
Yeah, I can put thoughts in people's heads, okay? And what my interest is a rapid transmission of information without the use of a device or technology, just plain who I am and who people are. And this is one of my biggest things that I work on. One of the things I work on.
Okay, so is this your mission? And is this one of the methods to achieve your mission? And what is that mission?
Well, my mission really is to talk about Jesus Christ. I mean, it's that, look, then it's not going to go anywhere. You know what they're doing. They want to know about the Holy Trinity, the United States. Okay, other countries do too. Okay, and my mission is to talk about Jesus Christ in real ways. You know, because my brother is really literally a twin of the Shroud of Turin, and so I have extensive knowledge in the Bible concerning the creation, flood, and day of the Lord. And if you go to my website, which will be given at the end of the show, you'll find all these different various topics on the creation, flood, and day of the Lord. And I did it with a King James version. Okay, and so that's what my mission is. You know, what these people are doing out there, they just want to go after other people. Okay, they don't care. Okay, I'm not talking about the military intelligence. I'm talking about these thugs who use devices on other people. Okay,
So the military agrees with what you're doing?
they agree wholeheartedly, 100%. And we'll get at the end, like you say, and talk about the Rolling Stones concert to let you know. No, they have made contact with me. If they were not in agreement, you see what they did when I was at Myers. They got it on camera, okay, and so they met me up there, but behind my back, and said he's a martial artist, and I knew they were talking about me. So they slowed me down a great deal, okay, but they never stopped me, okay. And we developed this relationship where I give them information and where I go through town, I was going through town, listening to music and stuff, and really, literally, you know, I know everything about this town, everything, and including the beast forehead people, all that stuff. I know everything about this town, and I reported back to the United States military and intelligence, and just from my apartment, and okay, go ahead.
Yeah, let's talk about the beast forehead people. What are your experiences with the beast forehead people?
Okay, my experience is that when they showed, one of them was a gentleman who was coming down 4th in between Washington and Liberty, and he had this protruding forehead, and he had a vein that came out and went in like this, and he looked, and when he looked, he was kind of like this. You know, kind of had a hard time breathing. Another was this gentleman who had a beast forehead like a lizard, okay? And he was a man, and across the street there was a woman who had like a lizard forehead. I call it a beast forehead. And another instance is one of these beast forehead people who had horns coming out here, okay? Now, there are children with beast foreheads. I'm talking about horns that curl out, okay, and whatnot, okay? And so this is what I think is going on. There's a tight group of witches and cults who are protecting these, in a tight group around these beast forehead people and these women with the smashed in faces, okay? And there's a tight group around them, and then there's a loose group around them just want to be in on the party, you know? And but when I seen these beast forehead people and whatnot, there was nobody else around. And that was pretty weird, you know? But it wasn't a delusion, you know, it was real, you know, and but okay, go ahead.
So
I gotta be stopped because I can talk for hours.
Yeah, you definitely have had a lot of experiences like this. Who are these people? Who are the beast forehead people? It seems like they all know each other. Do they all have a common goal?
I don't know them personally, okay, but what they'll do is they'll read off the walls, okay, and so they just live here, you know, but I don't know them personally. I've only seen them. Okay?
So you don't know what they want or what?
Well, like I say, I think they're being protected by these witches and cults, and a tight group around them because I've been up there and I've been watching these people, okay, and so, but that's about all I know about the beast forehead people because I never made contact with them.
Okay. So you also in your book, you write about there being two downtowns, one that's on the top and one that's below. What's the difference?
That's my theory, okay? Because down below you have tunnels that go throughout Ann Arbor. This is a known fact. This is something we've known since years and years ago. And so because I've only seen these beast forehead people with nobody else around, one of my theories is that they got it down below that is built up like up on top, like the buildings down Liberty Street and whatnot. I don't know if it's true, but this is what I think is going on, because they're going down below. There are tunnels all through there, and there's ways of getting entrances in there. And I think some engineers might have built up down below, and they can cycle you down there. I'm telling you, I've been in some situations where, they make you think this is all there is. Oh, it's just us. This is the only way it is. And you think it's like that everywhere, but it's not. You go outside of town, and I'm told by other people that you go to other towns, and they're normal people. You come into Ann Arbor, and you're going to get this whole thing bombarded on you, And so anyways.
Mm-hmm. So in addition to beast forehead people in this underground downtown, who else is down there, and what are they doing?
I've heard of satanic rituals and stuff, and this sort of thing going on down there. I don't know. I personally have never been down there unless I was cycled down there in some way.
And cycled, what do you mean by that?
Well, like
teleport?
somehow they funnel you down in there.
Like a tube?
I don't know. Downtown's all built up. Not built up, but it's down below is tunnels. So I can't say, like I say, that's my theory. Okay? Because I've only seen these beast forehead people when nobody else was around. And that's unusual.
So in addition to beast forehead people experiences, you've also kind of had experiences with energy spheres, and that you can create them. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I can. Now, I think it's a part of me, okay? Because I was going down Liberty Street, and on Division Street, there was this gentleman. These are military, okay? These people out there are deep in the military. But he's got this circular thing, and this guy comes out, and he's got a belly below his knees, put a nice shirt on, and he was dressed up. And the guy's like, look at this, okay? And he looked through that circular thing, okay, and showed it to this other guy. And then they disappeared. Well, the next day, I was coming around Maynard, and I created this energy sphere. And it came down it came in this direction, like this.
How big was it?
It was only about this big. But it had these needles that were going out all around it, okay? And I pulled it down, and there was an Asian gentleman getting into a car. And so I put this right over his lap, and he's like this, because it has knowledge, it has wisdom, it has understanding, it has peace, righteousness, joy in the Holy Ghost. It has all kinds of qualities to it. And then, of course, I kept going, and I've created one once before, but it wasn't that way. But I think really, actually, that's probably a part of me, because, but I'll leave it at that.
Okay. And then, in addition to the beast forehead people and witches, you've also talked about like there being a laser matrix. Can you?
Well, I was going down Division Street, okay? Not uptown. I was headed uptown. And I got engulfed with lasers coming from everywhere in my little car, shooting through my windows. And it lasted for about 7 to 10 seconds. I can't really understand how long because I didn't time it. And then it disappeared, and they stopped, and then I just went forward.
So do you think those were devices that were shooting at you, or was it more of a spiritual energy?
No, these were lasers. I mean, I don't know if they were out there themselves shooting them through it, or they had some sort of like these these flying things, What are they?
Drones?
Drones or something shooting. But there was no doubt about it. They were shooting right through my windows, okay? And the thing is, we're on the cusp of the 1,000-year reign of the Lord Jesus Christ, okay? These people want to stop me. I am their sworn enemy, okay? I didn't make them an enemy. They made me an enemy, okay? They could have at any time said, "How you doing, Frank? Have a good day." Instead, they wanted to fight me, okay? And they weren't going to win. There's no way they were going to win. And I find these people to be cowards, basically, because they have devices they use. And I was going up Liberty, and there's these two gentlemen that were gives me this smile like this. Well, I met them on the other side of the block because that's where I was headed anyways. And they started running to get into the elevator, and one of them slipped and fell and almost lost his head. These are cowards, okay?
So it sounds pretty wild. So tell me, you began this journey in 2007, and you kind of had with a communication from the military. In July 8th, 2015, you had another communication from the military at a Rolling Stone concert. Tell me about what happened.
Right. I went to the Rolling Stones July 8th, 2015. And before I got off the expressway, as I'm off the expressway, I gave mercy in my rearview mirror to two people who nodded for mercy. See, I'll write it on the wall. I don't read it off the wall, but I could write it on the wall. And I gave them all the instructions, and I had a friend with me, didn't even know I was communicating with these people behind me. And I gave the instructions, and they both, man and woman, nodded for mercy. Okay, that's what happened there. And I do this all the time. One of my favorite things is to give mercy. It's one of my favorite things to do. But anyway, so I get into the Rolling Stones. I'm walking down the hallway, and I get into a crowd, and I start hearing, "We see you there, Frank. Yeah, Frank, we see you there. We see you there, Frank." And then this woman says, "You're my prince," she says. So I watched the concert, and the whole idea was that we leave early. This was at the Encore. The idea was to beat traffic. So as I opened the exit door to Joe Louis Arena, I heard my name 5 to 7 times by 5 to 7 different people. "Frank, Frank," this sort of thing. And I went to check on my friend who was on the ground, just sitting there, and see if he was okay. He wasn't drunk. He didn't drink. He's passed on now. But somebody was talking to him. And so I went up. "Oh, I just want to make sure your friend was okay," he said. And he walked by me and says, "Military." Because this is military operations. This is concerning the second coming of the Lord Jesus Christ.
Okay.
And this trumps everything out there.
All right.
Because this is what the military is looking for. Truth. They don't, if I can come in there and distort everything these witches do, why would they want to be a part of that? They want the truth, okay? And Jesus Christ is that truth.
All right. Well, thank you, Frank, for sharing your truth with us tonight. Once again, Frank has a book called Another Unbelievable Story from Frank. And if you'd like more information about that, we'll have a website that you can see for yourself. Thank you again for watching Access Ann Arbor, and we hope you have a safe evening. Thank you.